Okay, guys. Hello, my name is Hannah Burnett. I'm an admissions counselor here at Jones College in Ellisville, Mississippi. I'm an admissions counselor here, and so I take students that have submitted an application and we start that enrollment process. So we get them enrolled in classes, make sure their financial aid is all good to go before they start classes here at Jones.
Awesome, thanks. So if you've, met with high school students, you're out on the trail recruiting, you're in high school, college fairs, and you've convinced a student to apply. How do they do that? Like, is there a date that the application opens for high school seniors that they need to watch out for? Is it an online only application? Do they have paper options? Just will you walk us through that process?
Yes, of course. So the admissions application is online, so students can access that through their cell phone or a laptop computer. It's very easy process, probably takes 3 to 5 minutes. Of course, if students are having some issues, we do have a paper application that we can mail to them, and they can send that back to our admissions department, and we can get that entered manually for them.
Okay. And is there a certain time of year that it opens for the next class coming in? Is it like September 1 or is it
Yes.
pretty much always open?
So normally we have our application open 1 year in advance. So
Okay.
those high school seniors can apply the fall semester of their senior year.
Okay. That's good to know. So you said it was a pretty quick application, 3 to 5 minutes. Is there anything that they have to submit with the application to get like conditional admission? Do they have to go ahead and submit a transcript or an ACT score or anything like that for admission purposes?
Students do not have to submit anything like that, but it is important to have your social security number and also some valid contact information. Those are the most important things that we tell students. Make sure you have that on hand when you're submitting the application, because once that application is submitted, our admissions counselors use that contact information to reach out to those students. And so it's very important that it is a valid contact information so they can reach out to them and start that enrollment process.
Okay. And then once students get admitted, of course, the first thing we're always asked when we're meeting with students, well, maybe they're concerned about housing. The parents are always concerned about how are we going to pay for this. So with scholarships, is Jones on like a matrix schedule where if they have a certain ACT and a certain GPA, they're going to get this amount of scholarship money? How does the academic scholarship process work at Jones?
Okay, so our academic scholarships, we start that at an 18 super score. So
Okay.
when they have an 18 to 20, they are offered $1,500 over the course of 2 years. And then it goes up from there. So we have the 21 to 24, which is a $3,300 scholarship over 2 years. And then, of course, we have our 25 to 28, and that is $6,800. And then our highest academic scholarship is going to be a 29 plus on the ACT super scored, of course. That is $13,000 over 2 years.
Okay. And are those automatic for students, or do they have to fill out a separate scholarship application to be considered for those? Or once their ACT and applications on file, they'll get considered?
So for academic scholarships, that is an automatic process. So as long as students have submitted their ACT scores to our college, they can do that via email, or they can do that through the ACT website. As long as we have those scores, that is an automatic process, and that those scholarship amounts will be rewarded to their accounts here at Jones.
Okay. And then is there a certain date that the students need to have taken the ACT by to be considered for scholarship consideration? I find this more at four-year universities, community colleges are like, we'll take all the way to the July ACT right before you enroll. Is Jones similar to that?
We are very similar to that. So students that are trying to get those ACT scores up before classes begin, as long as we have those scores before the start date of class, we will upload that and that scholarship will get updated for them.
Okay, that's good to know, because a lot of times I think if students just take the pressure off, like after high school graduation, and nobody wants to take it the summer after they graduate, but if they're
Right.
just not feeling that pressure, sometimes that score will go up just from being a little more relaxed. So,
Exactly.
okay, that's good to know. So academic scholarships are automatic, but you and I both know that academic is just one area that students can get scholarships in. They also can get like leadership service, if they're an athlete or an artist or a band member. Are there other scholarships that students can apply for at Jones? And is that scholarship process different? Like maybe does it require an application? Does it require auditions? That kind of thing.
Right. So, of course, we do have our service scholarships, we have foundation scholarships, and also athletic scholarships here at Jones. And that process does look a little bit different than our academic. It is not an automatic process, but it's still pretty easy. As long as students know what they're interested in, we can get them in contact with that director. But that process can look different across the board, even for those service scholarships, foundation, and also athletic, just because some have tryout processes, some have an application where you submit a resume or references and things like that. But for the most part, we can get them in contact with whoever they need to speak with, and we can get the ball rolling on that application process for them, or that tryout process.
For like the foundation scholarships and maybe the service ones that maybe are a little more straightforward than like athletic, requires different tryouts and things like that. Is there a date that students need to keep in mind? They probably want to be admitted and have applications in and all of that. Is there like a spring date that y'all really strive for students to have everything in for maximum scholarship consideration?
Right. So obviously the faster you can get everything in, the better, and you can kind of breathe throughout, senior year. But a good date to kind of, not really a date, but a timeline to kind of keep in mind is the fall semester is really important to try to, get a bunch of applications in, apply to the college, your housing application, all of those things in. That way, you can kind of breathe for the spring semester. But for service scholarships, those kind of vary, those deadlines for those. But for our foundation scholarships, that priority deadline is March 31st of the spring semester. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't still apply after that deadline. It's simply a priority deadline. So normally we see students that apply for those before March 31st. They do receive a foundation scholarship, which is wonderful. So we serve a ton of students, but there also is still time to get that application in.
Okay, that's good to know. That also coincides with the HELP grant deadline for, the Mississippi Awards. So that's a good kind of like March 31st. So aside from scholarships, students may qualify for grants and then federal aid as well. So some schools have moved into requiring FAFSA for their students. Is it Jones requiring any student, just any admitted student, to have a FAFSA on file?
So just a general student that's not involved in anything, they are not required to fill out financial aid, but we highly encourage students to fill out FAFSA. It's just so important that they, get all the aid that they are eligible for. So we highly encourage it. It's not a requirement for just a general admitted student. Now, some scholarships, such as like our county tuition assistant programs, they do require that, just so that we are making sure that, we have all the eligible funds on their account before they kick in their scholarships.
Okay. So some students, if they qualify for certain scholarships, they'll be asked to have a FAFSA on file.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there a priority date for FAFSA completion, or just again before school starts?
So for a priority deadline, we say April 1st is priority deadline for FAFSA. But we encourage students to go ahead and fill that out as early as they can. It opens up October 1. So we, during that fall semester, we really try to encourage students to fill that application once it goes live in October.
Okay. So that's good to know. April 1 priority. I feel like that's pretty common too. We see that date a lot. Aside from paying for things, students really are concerned about where they're going to live, which we all are concerned about where we're going to live. So I find that on most community college campuses, housing fills very quickly. So students need to fill out that housing application early. Is that pretty similar to how things work at Jones, that you encourage students to fill that housing app early?
Yes, so during the fall semester of their senior year, we talk about housing applications with all of our seniors. And of course, we go into the high schools and, try to ease their mind about all the questions that they have about Jones, because they get here pretty quickly. Senior year flies by fast. So the housing application is available for, students during the fall semester of their senior year. So once they submit that, usually we tell them to try to get that into us by May 1st.
Okay.
Of course, there's always some situations where it might be submitted later, but usually about May 1st is our deadline for housing here at
Okay.
Jones.
Okay. And then at community colleges, a lot of students don't realize, they can take a lot of different pathways. You can kind of go the academic transfer route if you're planning to go into a four-year university and finish out a bachelor's degree. You can get a certificate, you can get a 2-year associate's degree, in some kind of trade program. What are just briefly some of the different pathways that students can take at Jones?
Okay, so we have two different pathways here at Jones. We have our academic route where you are normally a university transfer. So you're getting all your basics here at Jones and then transferring to the university of your choice. And then for that one, you are getting an associate's in arts degree from Jones. And so our second one is our career and technical education. And so students doing that program or the different programs in that pathway, they are going to get an associate's in applied science degree. And so, and then of course in CTE programs, there's different exit points. So we obviously offer that associate's in applied science degree, but you also can get career certificates, technical certificates as well. So you don't necessarily have to complete those 2 years. You can go a semester, can just go a year. So depending on the student and how long they're wanting to be in that program is completely up to them.
Okay. Are there any, on the career tech side of things, are there programs that really stand out at Jones that you're really known for in the area that everybody kind of comes to for, maybe it's a really great nursing program, or maybe you have a great welding program? Just, are there some that you think are maybe more popular or that students know y'all for more?
Right. So, of course, all of our programs are wonderful here at Jones. We are super proud of our CTE department. And they're just growing year by year. So we're really excited for them. Some, programs that stand out, definitely our nursing program, but we have our ADN program, which is a 2-year program, and then we have our LPN program. So we have both of those here. And we also have like a bridge kind of program into those as well. So people that do our LPN program, they can easily kind of bridge into that ADN program after they meet the requirements. Whether that be, working for so long, there's some different tests that they can take. So that is probably one of our two most popular programs here. Of course, we have our cosmetology program, things like that a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to go there because they have that program. So,
right. And we're always excited to tell students about all the different career programs at community colleges, because for so long, students think that college means a 4-year degree, but there's so many exciting 2-year or even 1-year programs that students can go get at community colleges and then come out making great money, have a long career in that field, and do really, really great things. We're always going to need, some of those career tech programs. We're always going to like plumbers and HVAC and all of that. So those are good things for students. I'm always excited to hear that there's growth in those programs. So what type of like campus life activities? I've always heard, I've had friends that went to Jones. I've always heard it's a very dynamic campus life. There's a lot going on, and that it's got a good, just kind of like campus life feel to it for a community college. So talk through some of the things that are available for students to do outside of the classroom.
So one of my favorite things is our campus life here at Jones. We have tons of activities that go on each semester, and the students that are here, they can get involved in like our Student Government Association, Phi Theta Kappa. We have our Bobcat Brigade members, which are our student recruiters. That is a fun program to be a part of. It does have an application process, but usually we get that out to students in the spring semester so that they can apply throughout the summer. And then we have yearbook staff and newspaper. So there are so many clubs and organizations that students can be a part of. And we encourage all students to find something that they love or that they're interested in, because that is what makes the college experience. And a full list of our clubs you can find on our website. It's www.jcjc.edu/clubs. And there's,
Okay.
the full list is on there.
Okay. Yeah. And if students are watching this, Hannah and I both will tell you that your college experience is so much better if you do just pick, even if it's only one thing, if it's one thing that you get involved in. A lot of students will get involved in 20 things because that's the type of students they are. But your campus life experience, there's just nothing like those college years, and just picking one or two things that you're passionate about and exploring while you're also going to class. It makes the time really, really special. So we highly encourage students to get involved on campus. One other thing I wanted to talk about for students to know is just all the resources that are available on campus for them. A lot of students, I found when I was a recruiter, just they weren't aware of things that were in place on campus to help them. And so, especially coming out of these last 2 years where there's been a lot of virtual learning and there's been a lot of things changing, what are some of the resources in place for students to succeed in the classroom once they get there? So whether it's tutoring centers or, maybe computer labs, or even if it's not like classroom focused, but, maybe it's counseling. Like we want to make sure that our students are just whole, like completely. And so we want to make sure we have counseling services. What are just some of those things available to students?
So we have tons of things here to help our students be successful inside and outside the classroom. So we have free tutoring services that are normally offered by our instructors. So who better than to tutor than them themselves? Right. And so we have library services. So we have a computer lab in our library. So if students don't necessarily have their own laptop, or their computer's broken, like any, technical issues with their technology, they can go to our computer lab, they can log in, and they can do their homework right there in the library. There's cubicles where they can go and study in a quiet area in the library as well. We do have computer labs almost in every building, so that is available for students to go study, or if they have a tutoring session scheduled with an instructor in a big group, we have settings for that. We have counseling services in our student affairs office, wonderful services for that. We also have a writing center for students that are needing help in their English classes. Of course, if a student is having trouble with, just understanding their academic pathway, they also can meet one-on-one with their admissions counselor, and they can go through, the process and how long it's going to take them to graduate and all of those things, just to kind of ease their mind about graduation and what it's going to take to get there. We have individual meetings that can be set up with recruiting staff and our Bobcat Brigade members. So there's so many things that we offer here at Jones to make our students here successful.
Okay, that's good to know. And students, the Writing Center can sometimes be your best friend. Don't wait until you graduate college before you find out that your college had a Writing Center on campus. That's important when you're writing all those papers. So, we've kind of talked through a lot of what I wanted to discuss that I think is beneficial for students and counselors, but these videos are typically shown like in CCR classes. So teachers and students see them. Counselors sometimes use them in meetings with students, and then parents may watch them as well. So is there anything we didn't talk about that someone in one of those groups might find beneficial that you want to share with the groups?
One thing I do want to mention is kind of back to like ACT testing and things like that. We do have an ACT residual here on campus, and it is offered through our library. It's $60, and you can sign up for different dates, and you can pay over the phone. So it's a very easy process. Students can take our ACT here. Of course, it only counts for our college, but most of the time we do see that it's a more relaxing setting. So students normally do well and kind of can bump their score up a few points. Excuse me, and get that super score up, maybe some more scholarship money. We also have our AccuPlacer, so for our English and math, and that is a free test. And so students that are not quite making those scores in that math section or that English section, they can take that AccuPlacer, and if they score a certain score, they can go ahead and be put into our college algebra class or that English Comp 1 class without going into an intermediate class.
Okay, that's good to know. So students, if you aren't familiar, your ACT subsection scores can sometimes be used or are often used to place you into the right English and math classes your freshman year. And so if you need to maybe bump those scores up, you can take tests like the AccuPlacer to show that you are proficient in certain areas. So that's good to know. Anything else, Hannah, that you want to share?
I do. So we, in our career and technical education department, we have 3 brand new programs that are coming this fall. Okay. So we're super excited about those, and I was going to kind of touch on those just for a second. We have diesel mechanics that we're really excited for. That is going to be offered on our main campus here in Ellisville. We have our construction equipment technology that will be offered at our Clark County Center. And then we have our lineman program that is going to be started at our Wayne County campus. So those are 3 exciting new programs that are going to be kicked up in the fall. And so it's good for students to know new programs that are coming, to them this summer. So.
Exactly. I feel like those are really in-demand programs too. I'm hearing a lot about diesel mechanics, and then several schools are either putting in a lineman program or growing their current program. So apparently that career is just taking off like wildfire, because the lineman program I'm hearing a lot. So that's good for students that maybe want to work outdoors, kind of work outside of an office environment. Those programs, those are really exciting that you'll have 3 new ones coming in the fall. Okay. Well, anything else that you want to share with the groups that may be listening to this?
I think that's about it for me. Of course, if anybody ever has any questions, they can reach out to our recruiting department, and they can call 601-477-2371 to get in touch with a recruiter. And so they would love to speak with you. You can book a campus tour. Let us show you around campus. You'll get to meet some Bobcat Brigade members. Just an incredible group of students who better to show you around and kind of give you some insight about campus.
Okay. Hannah, thank you so much for taking time with me to talk this morning. We really appreciate it. I know the students will enjoy it. And so thank you for taking time out of your day.
Yes, thank you.